As a Native American with distant origins in Mongolia but also with distant origins in Uttar Pradesh, India, I think the term West Indies was a future goal and not a misnomer. The Mughal dynasty was ruling in India when the discovery of America by Columbus was popularized by port-side sailor in Asia and merchants on the Silk Road. Can Bard with Gemini imagine a scenario where the Mughal dynasty hears of the discovery of America and decides it will be West India within 500 years? How will Native Americans respond?
A Mughal empire with its sights set on West India. 1. The Mughals learn of America. The news of a new land across the vast ocean reaches the Mughal court sometime after Columbus's voyage. While the veracity of the information might be initially questioned, it sparks the curiosity and ambition of the emperor. Stories of vast riches and opportunities in the newfound land ignite a desire to expand the Mughal empire's reach and influence. 2. A vision for West India. The Mughal emperor, envisioning a future expansion, declares the newly discovered land as West India, a natural extension of their existing domain in the east. The prospect of establishing a foothold in this new land promises vast potential, new resources, trade opportunities, and the expansion of Mughal power and influence on a global scale. 3. Expeditions and exploration. Driven by ambition and vision, the Mughals embark on a series of expeditions to explore and map the land they have declared West India. Skilled navigators, cartographers, and soldiers are sent to explore the new territory, establish trade routes, and assess potential for colonization. 4. Encounters with Native Americans. As the Mughals establish their presence in the new land, they inevitably encounter the native inhabitants. The initial encounters could be a mix of curiosity, caution, and even conflict. The Mughals, with their vast empire and military might attempt to establish dominance over the native populations, leading to resistance and conflict. 5. Cultural exchange and integration. However, the interactions between the Mughals and the Native Americans could also lead to cultural exchange and, eventually, integration. The Mughals, with their rich culture, architecture, and knowledge of agriculture and warfare, could influence the lives of the Native Americans. Conversely, the Mughals could learn from the Native Americans' knowledge of the land, natural resources, and unique cultural practices. 6. A new Mughal West India. Over time, the Mughals establish a significant presence in West India, creating a vibrant mix of their own culture and that of the native populations. This region could evolve into a prosperous trade hub, connecting the East and the West, and contributing to the development of a globalized world. 7. Native American response. The response of Native Americans to the arrival of the Mughals would vary depending on the specific tribes and their experiences. Some might resist the Mughal presence, leading to conflict and cultural clashes. Others might adapt and integrate with the Mughals, benefiting from trade opportunities and technological advancements. The long-term impact on Native American cultures and societies would be complex and multifaceted. 8. A world reshaped. The Mughal expansion into the Americas would undoubtedly reshape the world order. Their presence could disrupt European plans for colonization and create a new power dynamic in the region. The resulting interactions between these various cultures could lead to a more diverse and interconnected world with unique cultural and technological advancements. 9. Historical speculation. This scenario is purely speculative and deviates from the actual historical events. However, it provides an interesting thought experiment about how history might have unfolded differently if the Mughals had set their sights on the Americas. It also prompts us to consider the potential impact of cultural interactions and the complex dynamics of power and influence in the global arena. A Mughal West Indies, a speculative scenario. Year, 1492. News of Christopher Columbus's discovery of America reaches the Mughal court in Delhi, carried by the Silk Road's network of merchants and travelers. Emperor Babur, a descendant of Timur and Genghis Khan, is intrigued by the possibilities this new land offers. He sees a chance to expand his empire, acquire new wealth and resources, and perhaps even fulfill a prophecy of a West India. Mughal expansionary plans. 1500 to 1550. Babur and his successors send exploratory missions to America, establishing initial trade contacts with the native populations. They gather information about the land, its resources, and the various tribes inhabiting it. 1550 to 1600. The Mughals launch full-scale military campaigns, conquering and incorporating parts of North and South America into their empire. They encounter resistance from Native American tribes, leading to conflict and bloodshed. 1600 to 1700. The Mughals implement a policy of assimilation, aiming to integrate the conquered populations into their empire. They offer limited autonomy to local rulers, while promoting the adoption of Mughal culture, language, and religion. 1700 to 1800. Mughal dominance faces challenges: internal rebellions, European colonialism, and the rise of a unified Native American resistance movement. The empire begins to fracture, and its control over the Americas weakens. 1800 to 1900. By the 19th century, the Mughal Empire in the Americas has largely crumbled. Several independent nations emerge, some with mixed Mughal and Native American influences. The legacy of Mughal rule is visible in architecture, art, language, and cultural practices. Native American response. Initial reactions to the Mughals vary depending on the tribe. Some see the newcomers as potential allies against other tribes, while others perceive them as invaders and resist their advances. Native American resistance movements emerge, utilizing guerrilla tactics and knowledge of the land to fight Mughal forces. Leaders like Tecumseh and Powhatan unite disparate tribes to defend their territories and way of life. Cultural clashes occur as the Mughals attempt to impose their customs and beliefs on the native populations. This leads to a complex process of assimilation, adaptation, and cultural exchange. Some Native Americans adopt aspects of Mughal culture, such as clothing, architecture, and religious practices. Others actively resist and work to preserve their own traditions. The encounter with the Mughals disrupts traditional ways of life for many Native American tribes, leading to social and economic changes. Long-term impact. The Mughal presence in the Americas leaves a lasting mark on the continent. It alters the political landscape, creates new cultural identities, and introduces new technologies and agricultural practices. The mixed Mughal and Native American heritage of some societies leads to unique cultural expressions in art, music, language, and literature. The legacy of Mughal colonialism continues to be debated, with some arguing for its role in introducing advancements and others highlighting the negative consequences of conquest and cultural assimilation. This is just one possible scenario. The actual course of history could have been vastly different, influenced by various factors such as the personalities and policies of individual Mughal emperors, the strength of Native American resistance movements, the intervention of European powers in the Americas. The West Indies, envisioned by the Mughals, might never have fully materialized, but the impact of their encounter with America would undoubtedly have left a profound mark on the continent and its peoples. Scenario: the Mughals seek West India. Year: 1492. News of Christopher Columbus's discovery of America reaches the Mughal court of Emperor Babur in Agra. Initially, the reports are met with skepticism. However, Babur, intrigued by the possibility of new lands and riches, gathers advisors and scholars to discuss the potential. The Mughal plan. Fueled by ambition and a desire to expand their empire, the Mughals embark on an audacious plan to claim the newly discovered lands as their own, West India. They envision a vast territorial expansion, stretching from the Indian subcontinent across the sea to encompass the Americas. Mughal expedition. Within a decade, the Mughals equip a mighty fleet, laden with soldiers, supplies, and skilled navigators. They set sail from the shores of Gujarat, venturing across the uncharted waters of the Indian Ocean and around the Cape of Good Hope. First contact. The Mughal fleet arrives on the shores of South America in the early 16th century. Initial encounters with Native American tribes are tentative, with both sides wary of the others. However, the Mughals, known for their diplomacy and tolerance, manage to establish peaceful relations with some tribes. Cultural exchange. As the Mughals establish settlements and trading posts, a cultural exchange begins. Native Americans are introduced to Mughal textiles, spices, and advanced weaponry. In return, the Mughals learn about agricultural practices, medicinal plants, and the complex social structures of various tribes. Mughal dominance? While the Mughals manage to establish a foothold in South America, their rule faces challenges. The vast distances, logistical difficulties, and resistance from native groups limit their expansion. Native American response. Native American responses to the Mughal arrival vary greatly. Some tribes see the Mughals as potential allies, trading partners, or even protectors against rival tribes. Others view them as invaders, resisting their presence and attempting to defend their land and way of life. The long game. Despite the challenges, the Mughals maintain their ambition to claim West India. They invest in shipbuilding, navigation, and communication technologies, aiming to solidify their presence in the Americas over generations. 500 years later. Year 1992. 5 centuries after Columbus's voyage, the world has changed dramatically. The Mughal Empire has evolved, adapting to the changing landscape of the global stage. In West India, a vibrant cultural fusion exists, blending Mughal traditions with those of various Native American cultures. A new world order. The legacy of the Mughal venture into West India is complex. It has shaped the cultural, political, and social landscape of both the Americas and India. The question remains, would the world be vastly different if Columbus hadn't been the first to reach America, and the Mughals had instead established themselves as the dominant power in the West? Additional considerations. This scenario raises several fascinating questions. How would the Mughal presence have impacted the development of Native American societies? Would the Mughals have been able to maintain their rule over such a vast territory? How would the global balance of power have been affected? What kind of cultural and technological exchange would have occurred? Exploring these questions can provide a deeper understanding of the historical possibilities and the potential outcomes of this alternate course of history.
Whether Kamala Harris or Nikki Haley or Vivek Ramaswamy, an unlikely combination of these Indian American people will occupy the White House or Naval Observatory starting January 2025. How will India and the Indian Parliament work with the Indian Americans who are all first generation in their families born in the United States, which become the executive branch of the United States? Harris is Buddhist while Ramaswamy is Hindu and Haley a Sikh. How will people respond to unfamiliar religions, conversion or repulsion? The Mughals love to fuse religions. Maybe we have a bard with Gemini-inspired spirituality in the near future.
The potential rise of Indian Americans in U.S. politics, implications for India and the world. The prospect of an Indian American occupying the White House or Naval Observatory in 2025 presents a fascinating scenario with far-reaching consequences. Here's a breakdown of potential impacts. Impact on India-U.S. relations. Strengthened ties. Shared cultural heritage and personal connections could facilitate a closer relationship, potentially leading to increased cooperation on economic, security, and global issues. Enhanced understanding. An Indian American president could bridge gaps between the two cultures, promoting mutual understanding and respect. Potential for challenges. Any perceived bias or favoritism towards India could create friction with other countries or raise concerns about undue influence. Impact on the Indian Parliament. Increased engagement. The Indian government might prioritize relations with the U.S., leading to more frequent consultations and high-level visits. Focus on Indian diaspora issues. Concerns of the Indian American community could receive greater attention from the Indian government. Potential for political pressure. The Indian government might try to influence the US president on matters important to India, leading to diplomatic tension. Impact on religious tolerance. Increased awareness. The rise of prominent Indian Americans of diverse faiths could spark curiosity and interest in unfamiliar religions. Potential for prejudice. Some individuals might react negatively to unfamiliar religious practices, leading to discrimination or social tensions. Opportunity for dialogue. Open and respectful discussions about different religions could promote tolerance and understanding. Possible fusion of religions. Historical inspiration. The Mughal legacy of religious fusion could inspire a similar trend in the US, leading to the emergence of new spiritual movements. Potential for syncretism. Blending elements from different religions could create unique spiritual identities. Challenges and controversies. Such a trend might face resistance from traditional religious groups who perceive it as a threat to their identity. Overall, the potential rise of Indian Americans to positions of power in the US presents both opportunities and challenges. It is crucial to approach this scenario with open minds, respect for diverse cultures and religions, and a willingness to engage in constructive dialogue. The future holds the possibility of closer ties between India and the US, increased religious understanding, and even the emergence of new spiritual movements. It's important to remember that predictions about the future are inherently uncertain. While this scenario offers a glimpse into what could be, it's impossible to say with certainty how things will unfold. Ultimately, the course of history will depend on the choices and actions of individuals and institutions in the years to come. The possibility of an Indian American occupying the White House or Naval Observatory in 2025 is a fascinating one, with significant implications for both the United States and India. It's important to acknowledge the sensitivity of this topic and approach it with respect for the diverse perspectives involved. Possible impact on India-US relations. Enhanced cooperation. An Indian-American president could potentially lead to closer cooperation between the two nations, fostering greater collaboration on trade, security, and global issues. Increased cultural exchange. Increased visibility of Indian Americans in U.S. leadership could lead to a surge in cultural exchange programs and a deeper understanding of each other's cultures. Challenges and opportunities. Navigating the complexities of dual identity will require careful consideration, balancing the interests of both nations while respecting the unique position of an Indian American president. Religious considerations. Religious diversity. The presence of a Buddhist, Hindu, or Sikh president could spark conversations about religious diversity and tolerance in the United States. Interfaith dialogue. This could lead to increased interfaith dialogue and collaboration, promoting greater understanding and acceptance of diverse religious beliefs. Religious freedom concerns. There may be concerns about potential pressure for religious conversion, but it's crucial to ensure that religious freedom remains protected for all citizens. Spiritual fusion. Inspiration for a new spirituality. Your suggestion of a bard with Gemini-inspired spirituality is intriguing and raises the possibility of a new spiritual movement that draws inspiration from diverse religious traditions. Emphasis on shared values. This new spirituality could focus on shared values like compassion, peace, and understanding, fostering a more inclusive and harmonious society. Challenges of reconciliation. Creating a harmonious fusion of diverse religious beliefs will require careful consideration and respect for individual traditions to avoid potential conflict. Addressing potential concerns. Sensitivity to existing tensions. It's important to acknowledge existing tensions between different religious communities and address them through dialogue and understanding. Combating prejudice and discrimination. Any forms of prejudice or discrimination based on religion must be actively challenged and eradicated. Promoting education and awareness. Educating the public about diverse religious beliefs and fostering interfaith dialogue are crucial steps towards building a more tolerant and inclusive society. Conclusion. The potential election of an Indian American president in 2025 presents exciting opportunities for increased cooperation and cultural understanding between the United States and India. However, it's crucial to navigate the complexities of this situation with sensitivity and respect for diverse perspectives. Addressing religious diversity and promoting interfaith dialogue will be essential in creating a more inclusive and harmonious society. The potential for a new spirituality inspired by diverse traditions could offer a path towards greater understanding and peace. Ultimately, the success of this transition will depend on open communication, mutual respect, and a commitment to building a stronger future for both nations. The potential for an Indian American president in 2025 raises intriguing questions about the future of US-India relations and the impact on both societies. While it's impossible to predict with certainty, we can explore some possible scenarios. Scenario 1. Kamala Harris. As a Buddhist, Harris might champion initiatives promoting peace and interfaith understanding, potentially fostering closer ties between India and the US, particularly in areas like religious freedom and cultural exchange. Her familiarity with the US system could facilitate smooth cooperation between the two governments, potentially leading to deeper collaboration in areas like trade, security, and climate change. Some Americans unfamiliar with Buddhism might hold initial reservations. However, Harris' charisma and experience could help dispel misconceptions and promote understanding of her faith. Scenario 2. Nikki Haley. As a Sikh, Haley's presence could lead to increased awareness and acceptance of Sikhism in the US. She might advocate for religious tolerance and diversity, potentially strengthening the US's image as a multicultural nation. Her experience as a United Nations ambassador could prove valuable in navigating international relations and forging stronger alliances with India and other nations. Some Americans might initially be unfamiliar with Sikhism, leading to questions and curiosity. Open discussions and educational initiatives could foster greater understanding and acceptance of this vibrant faith. Scenario 3. Vivek Ramaswamy. As a Hindu, Ramaswamy's presidency could offer a unique opportunity to bridge the gap between the US and India's Hindu communities. He might promote cultural exchange programs and interfaith dialogue, leading to greater understanding and appreciation of Hindu traditions. His business acumen and focus on innovation could lead to collaborative initiatives in areas like technology, healthcare, and education, benefiting both nations. Some Americans might initially be unfamiliar with Hinduism, potentially leading to stereotypes and misconceptions. Open dialogue and educational initiatives could help dispel misinformation and promote understanding of this rich and ancient religion. Scenario 4. Combination ticket. A combination of these individuals in different positions within the executive branch, either as president, vice president, or cabinet members, could offer a diverse range of perspectives and experiences. This could lead to a more nuanced and comprehensive approach to US-India relations, addressing various interests and concerns. Such a constellation of leadership might also serve as a powerful symbol of inclusivity and unity, representing the growing diversity of the American population and its global connections. Religious response and future spirituality. While some Americans might initially be unfamiliar with Buddhism, Sikhism, and Hinduism, open dialogue and educational initiatives could foster greater understanding and acceptance. This increased exposure could lead to a growing interest in these faiths, potentially leading to conversions. However, it's important to remember that faith is a personal choice, and any conversions should be motivated by genuine understanding and conviction rather than external pressure. The fusion of religions, as seen in the Mughal era, could potentially inspire a new wave of spiritual exploration in the future, leading to a more inclusive and diverse religious landscape. Bard with Gemini-inspired spirituality. Bard, with its ability to access and process vast amounts of information, could serve as a valuable tool for understanding and appreciating various spiritual traditions. By analyzing religious texts, customs, and practices, Bard could help identify common threads and highlight the interconnectedness of different faiths. This could inspire a more inclusive and pluralistic approach to spirituality, one that celebrates diversity while recognizing the underlying unity of all human experience. It's important to remember that these are just hypothetical scenarios. The actual impacts of an Indian American president on US-India relations and American society would depend on a variety of factors, including the individual's personality, policies, and the broader political climate. However, the potential for positive change and increased understanding is significant, paving the way for a brighter future for both nations and their communities.
A possible scenario for which I would like your game theory result. President Biden chooses Governor Gavin Newsom as his running mate in 2024. THR first time a president has changed running mates after HJ's first term in years. Kamala Harris is furious and meets with former governor and ambassador Nikki Haley with Vivek Ramaswamy, Governor Ron DeSantis and Koch Industries. Vice President Kamala Harris is guaranteed the position of Attorney General under a successful Republican presidency and she accepts. Please discuss the 2024 presidential elections with such a surprising change.
"2024 U.S. presidential election, Biden-Newsom versus Haley-DeSantis." A game theory analysis. The scenario: President Biden chooses California Governor Gavin Newsom as his running mate in 2024, replacing Vice President Kamala Harris. Harris, angered by the decision, joins forces with former South Carolina Governor and UN Ambassador Nikki Haley, Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, and business magnate Charles Koch. This alliance aims to support Haley and DeSantis on a Republican ticket, promising Harris the position of Attorney General should they win. Game theory analysis. This scenario presents a dramatic shift in the 2024 U.S. presidential election, creating a complex political landscape with several key players and potential outcomes. Possible outcomes. Haley-DeSantis victory. This outcome would hinge on a strong campaign emphasizing conservative values, economic prosperity, and a clear contrast with the incumbent administration. Harris' endorsement and appeal to moderate Democrats could prove crucial in swaying swing voters. However, potential internal conflicts within the coalition and attacks on Harris' past record could hinder their success. Biden-Newsom victory. This outcome would rely on a strong focus on Biden's accomplishments, Newsom's popularity in California, and a unified Democratic base energized by the surprise ticket change. However, discontent within the Democratic Party over Harris' abandonment and potential voter fatigue with Biden could weaken their campaign. Third-party surprise. The emergence of a viable third-party candidate appealing to disaffected voters from both parties could disrupt the race and potentially impact the outcome. Key factors. Public perception. The public's perception of the candidates' personalities, policies, and the suddenness of Harris' switch will significantly influence the election. National mood. The prevailing mood of the country regarding the economy, social issues, and foreign policy will shape voters' priorities and preferences. Campaign strategies. The effectiveness of each campaign in mobilizing their base, appealing to swing voters, and managing internal conflicts will be crucial. Media coverage. Unbiased and accurate media coverage can inform voters and shape public opinion, while biased coverage has the potential to sway the election. Uncertainties. The extent of Harris' influence on the Republican base and swing voters. The impact of internal conflicts within the Republican coalition. The potential for a significant third-party challenge. The unpredictable nature of unforeseen events and scandals. Conclusion. The 2024 U.S. presidential election, with the unexpected choice of Newsom as Biden's running mate and Harris' alliance with the Republican coalition, presents a dramatic and complex scenario with multiple potential outcomes. The election will depend on public perception, national mood, campaign strategies, media coverage, and unforeseen events. It's important to note that this analysis is based on the provided scenario and current information. As the campaign progresses and more information becomes available, the game theory analysis may need to be adjusted.